Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode, the second episode of Be Invincible Podcast, where we focus on giving you value. And today we have our special guest, Mr. Shankar Malapur, who is a mid career coach. And when you think about mid career coach, everyone will think about, okay, what is mid career coach? So we will talk about what is mid career coaching, why mid career coaching is so important for employees struggling through career stagnation. There is no growth, there is no goal, and then people don't even know that they also have to think about their growth when they are working in a corporate world. So I welcome Mr. Shankar Malapur today. And Mr. Shankar, why don't you please introduce yourself and let everyone know about you and your entire rich experience about career coaching.
Okay. Thanks for the introduction, Ajinkya. So I come from a technology background, a bit similar to what your background is. So the last 20 years, I worked with large corporate, working with Accenture, and it gave me exposure to various areas. Working. I started managing large IT programs, then I moved to mergers and acquisitions, since the company was acquiring other companies, helping integrate other companies into it. Then I moved on to areas like process consulting for large clients. And I took them through the CMMI journey, and also did a lot of solutioning. And over the last 5 to 6 years, I also moved back into technology, hardcore technology, going through various MOOCs on AI. So my last specialization is artificial intelligence, and also co-wrote papers with leading universities in AI. So after that, I retired, and post-retirement, I had different options. And looking at some of the challenges I had faced myself, I thought I could start coaching people at the mid-career level. As you mentioned, they go through various challenges, getting stuck at a particular level, not getting the salary raises. Some people lose their jobs, etc. So, those kind of challenges people do face. And I thought maybe I can, coach and support people going through them.
Mhm. So, according to you, what are the top three challenges people have and they don't even know it?
Okay. So I think one of the challenge I think is people get stuck in a particular position. They don't. Everybody doesn't go through continuous learning, right? And I've seen this problem. I had the fortune of working in different countries through my company, and I see this problem at the mid-career level across the world. And so that continuous learning is missing.
Mhm.
The other thing I think that is missing is I think people do not network easily, right? So that's a challenge I myself went through, and that is something I think a lot of people will benefit from networking, because today jobs are some of these jobs are not even advertised. So you have to use your network for widening your own horizons, as well as maybe getting the right kind of job. And the third, I think, is people are not very clear about what's their purpose, what are their values, what are their beliefs. And sometimes they are stuck in jobs which may not be of great interest. They are not absolutely engaged in that job. So getting the right, understanding your own purpose in life, and actually getting a job which meets those requirements, I think that is also very essential.
Great. I think let's get down, deep dive into networking, and then maybe we can interlink that how people don't have clarity, right? So
Right.
networking is that important within a team, within an organization. How do you think that people can network within a team, within an organization to grow from where they are right now and where they want to be?
Okay. So one of the things, Ajinkya, is today one of the ways of networking is using a tool like LinkedIn, right?
Mhm.
So today I can find out a lot about you, for example, and anybody else. Everybody is on this professional network,
Right.
and the challenge, Ajinkya, people have is. People say that I myself, as I'm an introvert, right?
Yep.
I'm a very private person, but I do post on LinkedIn every time. Before I post, I always have that hesitation: should I hit the submit button or not submit? Right. So even if, however introverted you are, as long as you are interested in knowing about people with interests similar to yours, and you can add value to the lives of others, you can use this tool of networking. So basically, as one of my mentors told me, is don't just be interesting, be also interested in others. So when you're interested in others, when you're curious about others, when you want value to add the addition to others, then it becomes a lot more easier to do your networking.
Right. I think I've been introvert myself. I know what exactly you're talking about. So I'll tell you my experience. If I want to reach out to someone, there are so many questions comes in my mind. What will be their response? Will they like if I reach out to them? What will they say if I ask them a question? So what can people do to overcome these questions and build that confidence level to reach out to unknown person and build that networking or build that connection? What would be that one thing they can start doing it?
Okay, great question. So, one way, as you said, we all go through those challenges ourselves. So, one thing we can all do, Ajinkya, is you can go through LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has a way you can actually look up people from your own educational institution,
Mhm.
right? And when I look up, every or most of these educational institutions have a organization page, right? And they also have all their alumni. So if you look up batches, maybe plus or minus five from yours, that's a great way to start. You can even find out, folks who are in the similar industry. Let's say you are interested in people from the medical industry, or you're interested, people who are looking, in particular technology industry, right?
Right.
You can do a lot of searches on LinkedIn from your institute, and you can write a message to them. I'm from this your institute. This I'm interested in connecting with you, and I've seen your profile, etc. And
Exactly.
then many of the folks from your institute will definitely connect with you. Another great way is to look at people from your earlier organizations and your current organizations, right? If you say I'm from X organization, then people do connect, and the chances of connections are much higher.
Mm.
So go through their profiles. If they have been posting on LinkedIn, you can write a comment or two on their posts, etc. So the more engaged you are with others, the greater the chances that others will engage with you. So start with something you're familiar with.
Right. So I think, Shankar sir, one thing very easy here is it's online, so I can go and reach out and send that message and send that connection.
Right, right,
If what if in a scenario where I'm in person in the team, I go to office every single day, and
right,
then I want to network. How do I do that? Because that's in person, right? So I have to go and talk to someone. That's
right,
where introvert struggles, right?
right.
How will I go and talk, take that initiative and build that network? What is
Yeah.
the mindset, a block or mind block we have, and how do we overcome that?
Okay. To me, as long as you are curious about other people, right? And many of us are curious. If you prepare a small, little, maybe a 30-minute, they call it elevator speech these days, right? So if you prepare a little bit about yourself, what you want to share with others, and be curious about others, right? So when we first met, for example, Jinkya, I asked about you, and you asked about me, right? So if you're interested, prepare a little talk about yourself, understand what are your areas of interest, and be curious about others. So when you are curious about others, I ask about your background, I ask about your interests, then people do open up.
Right.
And also, if you go through their profile, you'll also know their background, right? So I know you're from Pune, for example. I may have some interests in technology field, or I may have some interest in medical field. So find out the common interests, and see where you can develop that connection.
Right. So I think one leading question to that is, if I know that, okay, this is my good connection or something like that. I reach out to them, they are connected. What should I do to grow myself? That's a major question everyone has. Okay, even if I reach out to someone who is in my team and I reach out to that person and say, "Hi, I'm Ajinkya. I'm been working in this organization for 2 years. How long you've been working?" And the connection happens. How do I grow myself in front of them or in that team of 15, 20 people where I'm struggling since 3 years to, like, for example, if I am today a business analyst, I want to go to the next level, which is senior business analyst or a owner or a product project manager. What are the steps, which is networking first, you said? How to
Right.
leverage networking to elevate my career in the next level? Like how networking helps.
Okay. So what I would, for example, do is, let's say I'm, as you mentioned, you're a business analyst and want to move to a senior business analyst. So find out in your own organizations who are the senior business analysts,
Okay.
right? Go through their profile, understand their profile, find out people who are maybe moved faster than others.
Okay.
And then set up a call. If you are physically in somewhere, right, you could meet in the cafeteria for coffee, or you could meet at a nearby coffee shop, for a coffee, and ask them, be curious, what is it that they have done, to come to a senior business analyst level, right? So it's very easy sometimes to connect with people who are just 2 to 3 years ahead of you,
Mhm.
and find out what differentiates their journey, right? Understand their profile, understand, and also you can ask them questions like, what is the most challenging thing they do? Or what is the, what keeps them awake at night? Why have they chosen this particular career? And so on, right? So very professional questions, and not just with people in your organization. You can also connect through LinkedIn or through others, who are having, let's say, a senior business analyst or whatever profile you're looking for. Then you get a fairly good idea about, what you can learn. And then later on, also look at people who are a little more senior, right? So maybe, somebody who the senior business analyst reports into, like a project manager. Find out again, what kind of profile do they have, what kind of interests do they have, which groups are they a part of, right? Facebook and LinkedIn do have groups. So even if you look at profiles of people, you find out whom do they admire, what groups they are part of. If they sound interesting, those groups have a large number of people and they do admit people, you can join those groups, you can be very active in those groups, you can, if somebody puts in a question, you can answer those questions, etc. So it really depends on how engaged you want to be in these forums. So go start, but the easiest to start with is people just maybe at least 3 years senior to you in that kind of a profile, and find out what really has helped them in their own careers. How have they differentiated themselves from others?
Right. I think most of I have met most of people who wants to grow, but they don't have clarity, like you said, right? Now, even if I want to network,
Right.
I have clarity of what I'm going to get from this networking event, right?
Okay.
How do I build my clarity to the next level, or my vision or my mission, so
Right.
that I can drive my networking through it? What is your take on this? How
Oh,
do I build
okay.
clarity?
Right. Okay, so I had similar challenges, right, Ajinkya? So I am a person who's interested in many different areas, and finalizing which area I should be in was a big challenge. So
Right.
what I did is, I one of the techniques I used is ikigai, right? So what do you enjoy doing, what you're good at, and then seeing what's the demand for that particular position and whether people are willing to pay for it. So
Right.
Ikigai is a wonderful way to start. Where should I concentrate my focus? My energies, and the other thing you can do is put together all your curiosities, right? So I put together various areas I am curious about, and see what kind of is there a commonality of interests in them? Is there some common thread between them? And
Right.
then then you can also explore those with others. When I first started, let's say, with AI, this was in 2014, 15. I saw a lot of MOOCs there. And then I tried reaching out to people who were there in that field. And, that really made me curious. This is something quite different from the kind of programming I had done before that.
Right.
And as I developed more and more interest, I started reaching out to people and even to universities, etc. I uh, found out others who had similar interests on LinkedIn. I started contributing research papers along with the others, right? So how do you really develop those interests? Is finding out, being curious about people, being curious about subjects, and really seeing what really interests you. What is your mission, right? So what I really feel is I've been living a life of freedom and choice. I'm doing things which give me a lot of freedom. I'm contributing to a couple of books, for example. Right.
Right.
It gives me, I can do things which I'm interested in, which I'm passionate about, and things which stretch my abilities, which I have not done earlier. So if you know what really engages you, what you really enjoy doing, then it becomes a lot more easier to, actually reach out to those people and explore more possibilities with others.
Right. Right. I think when you said ikigai, can we talk about some concepts of ikigai which people can instantly implement? Because I think first thing people struggle in growth is their mindset.
Right.
They don't have the right mindset. I think nothing they can achieve in their life because they are restricting themselves in their minds.
Absolutely.
How ikigai can help? Like, what are the crux of that ikigai framework that people
Right.
can understand? Like, for example, living purposeful life, right?
Right.
Having a mission, a healthy life. What is like? Maybe let's talk about some framework or a three tip from ikigai. I've
Okay.
read the book as well, so I know it. But maybe
Okay.
maybe from your perspective, how ikigai
Right.
can help
Okay.
your career.
Yeah. Okay. So the when I start with somebody, I start with that basic ikigai diagram.
Okay, okay, diet plan
Right?
is it?
The ikigai diagram, right? So the ikigai diagram is, there are four. It's like a Venn diagram,
Mhm.
right? So if you write down on a piece of paper the four circles and see where they intersect. For example, what do I enjoy doing? What I am good at? What the world needs and what the world is willing to pay for.
Right,
Even if you draw this very simple diagram, and then you come out with, as you said, having your own mission in life, right? So finding out what you really want to do. And as I mentioned, if you put together what are your common interests and is there a common thread in that, it
right.
becomes a lot more easier to do what you enjoy doing, right? So I think you touched on those right principles, Ajinkya.
So I think there are many questions people have, and maybe, like I said, no, people don't know about it. How do you think that, or maybe what do you think that is the major contribution towards their roadblocks or struggles? Like, for example, I'm just like time management could be one, goals setting could be another, and
Right.
networking could be one, and
Right.
uh, maybe work from home is contributing to their growth right now. I don't know. So what is your thought process like? Which is the major contributor in their career growth? Like, we'll touch
Okay.
all the four, but out of
Right.
these, what do you think is major contributor?
Okay. So I think if you have your mission in life, what you want to do, that brings in a lot of clarity. I call it the wheel of life. So when I start working with somebody, I ask them to rate themselves on where they are currently and where they want to be after, say, 3 years, right? It could be career, it could be relationship, it could be health, it could be what you want to contribute to society, right?
Right,
So all these different aspects, I first ask them to rank where they are and where they want to be.
right,
And once they do that, right, so then we actually look at one or two areas where they want to work with over the next 2 or 3 years, and then we concentrate on them. So I help them devise targets, for those areas. So it could be, for example, it could be career, right? They want to get promoted after 1 year to from an analyst to a senior analyst.
Mhm.
Right? So that could be one area. In the area of health, they could be having some goals, right? So one or two goals. Some are in the career phase, some are in the in your personal relationship or health areas. So
Right.
once you are very clear on what you achieve, and it a lot depends on what your intentions are. As
Mhm.
long as your intentions are right, and as long as you're focusing your energies on those. And I find a lot of people are so busy, there's no work life balance. So I work with a lot of executives, helping them set some basic targets in their personal life and then achieve whatever their goals are,
Right.
right? So that is so the ability to say no is extremely important,
Right.
and focusing on the areas that are very important to you. So if you do if I set out every morning or the earlier night, I'm very clear on what I want to do the next day,
Mhm.
and at the end of the week again I do a very basic review. Did I do what I plan to start off with?
Right.
And then I can take course corrections the next week. So every Sunday evening I again go through my activities for that entire week, so that I can make the course corrections for that next week. And then at the end of the month again, right, tonight again I'll be doing a review for the whole of June. So as long as that clarity is there, that focus is there, and you take course correction at the end of every week and every month, then you are living a very intentional life. You're ensuring that these are my goals and I'm working towards my goals. Then that becomes a lot easier, Ajay.
So will this also help in time management every single day?
It does. I what I do, Ajinkya, is I block. Some of us are morning people, some of us are evening people.
Right.
So I do my best work. I think typically from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's my time, and everybody has their own time, right? So some of them really do well late evenings or nights, etc. So knowing when you really work well and doing your most challenging task.
Mhm.
So again, looking at research, it's been found that your willpower is the most early morning.
Right.
So I schedule my most challenging task early morning of the day, and I have scheduled 1 hour to 1.5 hours during the day also, where I can actually do the work I'm really interested in. Right. So I however busy I was, even when I was working crazy hours at work, right? So I called it my oasis time, right?
Hmm.
So every day from 5 to 6 a.m., I did something which I was interested in from my long-term perspective. So be very clear about your long-term perspective, and investing time every day in that makes a lot of difference to your long-term growth.
Right. So do you think that time blocking can help? Like,
It has helped for me. And again, another useful technique, and they call it the Pomodoro technique, right? So every 20 minutes, if you take a break, right? So, sip some water for 2, 3 minutes, or do some deep breathing exercises, or do some jumping jacks, right? So they say that your focus is very clear for about 20 to 25 minutes.
right.
So if anybody Googles Pomodoro, they will get to know this technique, and that I also found very useful. So a Pomodoro technique, and out of that, having 60 to 90 minutes of time blocking, as well as I think ability to say no, learning how to say no, is something which has really helped me from scheduling my own time.
A very interesting point, Shankar sir. Ability to say no.
Right,
What if, I think what I feel in my life when I had the situation where whether I should say yes or no, I'm scared to say no.
right,
Because I have
absolutely,
this in my mind. Okay, if I say no, will my boss give me less ratings? Will my teammates say, "Oh, this guy doesn't work," or "He doesn't want to take work"? So, what? How do we build that perception that I want to say no, or what is the best way to say no? I mean, that's the right question.
okay, right. Great question, Ajinkya. So they call it the NOR technique, right? No with a reason. So first of all, when I try to understand why my supervisor is giving that task.
Hmm.
And I'm also very clear about what my objectives are
Right.
for that day, for that week, etc. And I try to give a reason that for example, I'm busy with the X report, and this is something we knew it has come. How important is that? I try to understand from my supervisor's perspective why he or she is giving me that additional work, how important that is.
Right.
And once I understand that, I give the reasons why I'm saying no. And as long as you have built that track record, and if you have built a track record of delivering on some of your past projects,
Right.
your supervisor will have enough faith in you. So, if you give no with a reason, and, if at all that is something that's very important, you can say, can I schedule the existing report I'm working on? Can I give a day later? Or understand the priorities between these two reports, which is more important,
Right.
right? So if you understand why that additional work is coming, and then build that track record over time, I think it becomes a lot more easier. And I've seen a lot of people many times, I was in the same boat as you, right? So again, learning that technique and practicing it, you develop more muscle to practice it. You may not always succeed. You can find out other alternatives. Can somebody else do that job? Can you delegate that task?
Right.
And or is can I postpone my current task and then take up this task, etc. So if you
Right.
look at different alternatives and discuss them with your supervisor, it becomes a lot more easier to handle most of these situations. It may not succeed in every situation, but you'll be a lot more successful.
Right. I think yeah, that's a really great answer, sir. I mean, uh, people struggle to say no, but I think
Right,
if they know the reason why they are saying no, and if
right,
there's a connection or a trust built between the supervisor and the subordinates, I think that
right,
is the best way to, reach to something where you say you can say no, right? I think that's a really good answer. I really want to understand how people can design their goals, right? People struggle to even understand what are my goals or what are my key responsible areas or what are my objectives and results, key results which I want to achieve, right? OKRs, which we call usually.
right.
How do people design goals?
Okay. So I would divide them into two. One is organization goals and your own goals, right?
Mhm.
So as far as organization goes, most of the large organizations, the goals cascade from the CEO level to the department head and to the department and so on. That's how, so understanding how they have cascaded, why they have come to your supervisor and how they have come to you is very important. What are the goals, not just of yours, your own self in an organization perspective, but even what is the supervisor, what are his or her goals is very important to know. Because are you really working to not just meet your own goals or to your supervisor goals, right? So that is very, very important. As far as personal goals go, again, as what you mentioned earlier, Ajinkya, if you are very clear about what's your purpose in life and what is your mission in life? What is it that you really want to achieve in each of these areas? And if you break it down into different areas, right, your health, etc., it becomes a lot more easier to set. For example, I have my 3 year goals. I have my 1 year goal. I have all of them written down, and I exactly know for the next quarter. Today, I did my planning for the next quarter. I got 25 different goals, and I was going out. You may say, how do I get time for that? Yesterday, I had on a long bus ride, right? So you can easily note it down when on your phone and then transfer it, right? So it's not as though you have to. A lot of people say we don't have time. But unless you're driving, of course. But other than that, if you're traveling by any other vehicle, you or even by metro or something, you can jot down a lot of your thoughts on your phone. And but that clarity of focus on what you want to achieve in life, what is your purpose, what are your values, etc., it becomes very easy for you to set goals. And I have goals for each of my areas in life. And so I do the reviews, as I said, so weekly, monthly, etc., to ensure that I'm in touch with my targets, right? So organization will help you from organization goals, but a lot more important, I think, are your own personal goals.
True. Yeah. Uh, I think, yeah, I think what I've been listening or I've been hearing since I've been into corporate world, right? The goals should be smart, right?
Right,
But I think my perspective before even thinking about that smart goals, we need to think beyond that.
right,
Now, when you design smart goals, sustainability, like how long you can make sure that you work on your goals is basically your mindset. I mean, for me, everything starts from yourself and within, right?
right,
If you want to make sure that you want to work on your goals, then you can design a goal which is sustainable, right?
right,
Achievable, right? Which is measurable. How do you measure it? I think mostly people struggle with measurability, right? How do you design goals that can be measurable? So, how do you, I mean, let's talk about the smart goals system because most of the organizations follow the smart analogy, right?
right.
What do you suggest? Like, how do people think about what people can do in terms of designing their goals?
Okay. So I think the smart framework itself gives you various ways, right? It's something uh, as long as it is measurable, Ajinkya, as you said, it becomes a lot more easier, and you can always devise measures. So I'm from a process consulting background,
Mhm.
and that's what I've helped my clients. So. Any activity, I think you can have both qualitative and quantitative goals. So
Right.
understanding first, you need to baseline where I am, right?
Mhm.
So for example, I may have good relationships with my relatives, and that could be a goal for me, right? So how do I measure that on a week to week basis? How many calls did I make? How many emails did I send to them? There are all of these are countable, right?
Mhm.
Almost everything can be counted if you go back. Sometimes what happens is we are distracted a lot, right? So many times one of the challenges that a lot of people, today our phones are always with us, and there is something that is a ping coming or there is something notification coming which distracts us from doing those goals. So um, if you put aside your phone when you're doing very serious work, right?
Mhm.
So, during that 1 hour work, let's say I'm doing on something, I just put that phone aside somewhere where I can't even hear the ping or see the notification. Then you become less distracted. The other thing is, many times I find that people, let's say somebody wants to wake up at 5 a.m. What are the benefits they are getting from not doing that activity? If you actually attack that problem, it's one of the NLP techniques, which uh, there must be some benefit from not doing that activity. So if you try to figure that out and see how you can improve that, right? So as you know, even if you make some minor changes, even if my goal, let's say my goal is when I started walking during my work days, I couldn't really do the walking.
Mhm.
So I started with a 15-minute walk, then I did half an hour walk, then I made it 45 minutes walk, then I added, then I went on to 1 hour walk today, right? So if you divide that large goal into some more bite-sized goals, and in my opinion, almost anything you could have both qualitative and quantitative measures for this. If you have bite-sized goals, it becomes a lot more easier to track. But I advise having both qualitative and quantitative goals. It's always it's always possible, I think, to set smart goals and finding out what's stopping you from taking up that activity. I worked with extremely busy people and help them carve out some personal goals and achieve them over the next 2 to 3 months, right? So if somebody who's at very senior levels, I work with very, very senior folks. If they can do it, so can every one of us.
Right. Yeah, I think it just your urge to achieve that drives your smart goals, I would rather say, because
Right.
how badly you want it and
Absolutely.
how important it is for you to grow to the next level, maybe that drives your energy towards achieving those smart goals, right? So
Uh, yeah,
I think one more thing, Shankar sir, I've been listening to a lot of people talking about communication problems in an organization or in a team.
right.
How do you think it's impacting their growth?
It does actually impact growth, but there are, I think, enough tools to improve. Right? Again, I think it starts with what is the message. If you it all starts with, as you said, Ajinkya, with your purpose and what is your passion in life.
Right.
So, for example, I think maybe in school I was the shyest boy in my class, but when I joined I was asked to join the school debating team, and that's where I really learned public speaking. And today, I think I enjoy speaking to public more than even it comes to me easier than even speaking one on one with people, right? So people do change, and if you are very clear on what is it that how is it that I want to add value to others, if you have that clarity in mind,
Mhm.
and it's always, I think, when I'm talking to somebody, how can I inspire that person? How can I add value to others? So when you stop looking at yourself, when you think of adding value to others, it becomes a lot more easier to build your communication system. And sometimes it is a lot of it is limiting beliefs, as you said, right? So some people have told me that I studied in a vernacular medium. I didn't study in English medium, but I find that their communication skills are absolutely fine. And I worked in many different countries across the world, and even a lot of those people are also not as familiar with English as we are. So
Right.
sometimes it is our own limiting beliefs that stops us.
Right.
And if you are very clear, and there are enough tools to improve your own communication skills. It's not, but often it is just a belief that we are not that great. But speaking, practicing yourself in front of a mirror. Let's say I'm going to give a talk somewhere. I can talk, see my own expressions in front of myself in a mirror. I can record my conversations and actually practice. A lot of it is absolute practice if it's a formal kind of a talk, and anybody can use that, right?
Right. I think I'll take that example. For example, um, I've seen many people in a team meeting, right?
Right,
They join for a brainstorming discussion,
right,
but only two or three people, for example, if there are 10 people in a room,
right,
two or three people talk.
right,
And rest of the other team, they might have ideas, they might have questions, they might
right,
have suggestions, but they don't speak up.
right,
And I think that's where I feel that the communication can help them in terms of growth. Like, because, for example, if
right,
I know something, if I have a question, I've been an introvert, what I will think, what my limiting belief would be, Array, what if I go, what if someone says, what a stupid question it is?
right, right.
But that could be the right question. But
Hmm.
in my mind, being an introvert and some communication limiting beliefs,
Right,
I will not say that question or I will not suggest something. And I'll just say, okay, whatever's happening, chill out. I don't want to bother myself.
right,
So I think this mindset is something which we need to work on. And what is your perspective in terms of, see, why I'm talking about in person now is now the world is moving towards again back to normal in terms of in person office going attitude and culture. Right, last couple of years because of pandemic we were bound to be in the virtual world, but now slowly we are trying to get back to normal. But again, even if we are in a virtual world, how do we manage that? How do we build that communication skills? How do we make sure that we upfront contribute to the discussion and maybe highlight ourselves as someone as an SME or someone as an expert, and then people start reaching out to me as, and that's how I build my authority in the team, right? So what
right.
is your recommendation
Okay,
to build
right, okay.
certain approach?
Right. So let me take the example you mentioned, right? So brainstorming. So I did a very interesting course from Stanford. It was called Accelerating Change and Disruption. right? So one of the topics I studied was design thinking, and design thinking depends a lot on brainstorming.
Hmm.
So in India, we are also hierarchical, right? So if I have a supervisor and he brings out an idea, I may find it very difficult to actually say that no, this is not the case, and there's something else is the case, right? We are a lot more hierarchical than other societies.
Right.
So one of the ways you can do, and a lot depends on the supervisor, for example, in cases like this. So pre-brainstorming, I ask everybody to come out with suggestions. Right.
Hmm.
So let's say there are 10 members. I ask each of them, can you, we are going to brainstorm on this, but before that, can you give your top three ideas? So
Right.
I bring them in, I put them up on the board without their names, and then we have a discussion. People bring in more ideas in that brainstorming session, but then it really doesn't matter who has suggested it. It
Right.
really, we get down to the crux of that problem. And a lot depends on the supervisor, actually, Ajinkya, right? So if you tell them that this is very important, you have great ideas, I really would like you to contribute, etc. If you have one-on-one conversations, I find that people do open up. A lot of people are shy. People, say that, people will think this is a foolish idea. But one of the things in a brainstorming session is wild card ideas, right? So crazy ideas which may not even work, but sometimes they yield solutions which are useful. So when you brainstorm, never look at the feasibility first. So bring out all the ideas and then come out with ideas which are likely to work,
Right.
and then actually and remove those names first, right? So in especially in the Indian context, I find that that supervisor may have more say, which should
Right.
not be the case. Everybody's idea should get equal say.
And I think that gives everyone that sense of feeling where I
Right,
am valued, my suggestion is valued, and
right,
I will contribute more because, for example, if
absolutely,
I give my suggestion and someone says, "Oh yeah, this is a great idea," then next time I'll give two more suggestions,
right, absolutely.
right? So that's how I build my confidence, and I think communication for me have been the major contributor in my success, right?
Okay.
I'm an extreme introvert. I was like very similarly. I've asked the questions of all my experiences because I was in the brainstorming meetings so many times. Being in business analyst, I had to drive the discussions, but I was in this situation where I did not speak much, and I felt that if I don't speak much, then nobody will understand that Ajinkya knows this particular problem or Ajinkya has some ideas. So I think what I feel is if communicating your ideas is your problem, the first step is to communicate. Like, go ahead and take that step. Just say it out. Let's just speak out. It doesn't matter whether it is right or wrong. If it is wrong, it's okay. People will say, no, this is not a good idea. At least you have given your thought, right? So, overcoming that limiting belief that what
Right.
people say, right? That something is very important for you to take out from your mind and, upfront go ahead and contribute to wherever you are part of a team or a cultural group or a society or spiritual group, wherever you want to contribute. I think communication plays the most important role. Being a leader, being a team member, being an individual contributor. What do you think about it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Right. And I'm really glad that, we have that low kya kahenge, right? So we have that mentality. But, I think you are really taken it to the next level today, right? In spite of being an introvert, you have a podcast today which is reaching a much wider audience. So it's all your beliefs, actually. And one of the techniques that you learn in design thinking, Ajinkya, is building on other ideas. So instead of saying, if Ajinkya, you say something, then I say, oh, but this.
Right.
So, one of the key techniques that is used in design thinking is and, right? So you give an idea, I build on that, and you build on that, and so on, right? So if that team is built the right way and you encourage everybody to, so it's actually the team lead plays a great role in bringing out the best in everybody so that, the whole project or that whole program really benefits from. But absolutely, as you mentioned, you have to add value, and everybody should feel it's a supervisor's role to ensure that everybody feels that this is a safe space to express their ideas. So as long as the supervisor brings in that safe space idea, then everybody will actually contribute, and the solution will be a lot better.
Right. I think, yeah, this was something very important. I also wanted to talk about where communication plays a very important role, right? Um, Anything which people can do, like, for example, from your perspective as a coaching, what framework you recommend to most of the people who come to you for help? What is your approach?
I call that wheel of life, actually, right? So people typically come to me with a challenge in their careers, but the biggest challenge I see in the tech field, and that's a kind of challenge people I typically work with. They have this challenge of different areas of life. So as long as the framework I use, I call it the wheel of life, and understanding your priorities in each of these fields, and then working on those and tracking them on a day-to-day basis, right? So every week, those reviews, and living a very intentional life. So
Right.
having your purpose very clear, your values very clear, and then living a life which will help you to achieve whatever goals you want. And I think it's actually possible. At least work towards your long-term goals, and your day-to-day goals. As long as you stack as long as you stack your passions together and work towards whatever are your long-term goals, it's possible for anybody to achieve whatever they want.
Yeah. I think one thing you've said about passion, I feel people really struggle to understand what they are passionate about sometimes. How do they identify what are their passions?
Okay. So the tool I just very briefly mentioned is, I put together, a simple diagram, right? So I put together 25 things I'm curious about in my life. And I do, I have as I mentioned, I have a very wide range of interests. I'm, as they say, a jack of many trades, but I'm not really a master in any of them, but I'm interested in so many different areas. So I put them all in a kind of a diagram, all those 25 areas of interest, and I try to see what are the links between those. So I found that I have interest in sharing my thoughts, my experiences with others. For example, I was very clear on whom I wanted to help. Who are the others, actually, Ajinkya? Who
Okay.
are the people I wanted to help? I also felt there was a commonality of different interests in being a continuous learner, right? So I found out through this very simple mechanism. I have a color coded diagram for this, but I unfortunately can't share it. But and that helps you to clarify your own thinking. So I came up with 3 or 4 themes which are of interest to me, and those are the areas I'm working on currently. Right, and apart from that, the ikigai, that Venn diagram, which will actually help you. What are you passionate? What are your interest, and what are you good at? So if you do that exercise also, you'll be fairly clear on what you want to do in
So
life.
how can people reach out to you? I mean, if they have any questions.
Through LinkedIn. As I said, I'm also an introvert, but I was also shocked when I got there is a coveted top voice blue badge, which actually LinkedIn gives it across categories for their top voice, and even I was surprised when I received it. So
Oh,
I do post on LinkedIn regularly because I don't I see it where how can I share what I have learned over my own life, right? So that's all that I want to share. And anybody can use LinkedIn. it's a, anybody can reach out to me over LinkedIn, but anybody can post, right? You should find the right role models, Ajinkya, right? So anybody is interested, let's say I'm interested in the medical field, I can actually find out who are the people who post, who add value, and follow them at least, or try to connect with them. And, then uh, having the right role models is extremely important.
So I think if someone wants to reach out to you for
So
career,
LinkedIn,
and link,
yeah, yeah,
LinkedIn. Okay.
absolutely.
Is that the only place that you are available, or you have some other channels like YouTube or?
I'm not very active right now on YouTube. I do have I'm changing I did my own website during COVID. I developed my own I'm redeveloping it, so I can share my link once it is ready. Maybe in a week or two,
Sure.
it should be ready.
Sure, that'll be really helpful because anyone who wants to reach out to you can reach out to from LinkedIn, and I think this was a really great discussion, Shankar sir. There were a lot of points. There are so many unknowns in the corporate world which are still yet to be explored, yet to be understood. But I think you are doing amazing job in terms of helping mid-career people where there are a lot of struggles, right? So in the starting, I think there is something which is called like learning period. In the retirement, it's all about giving period, but the mid career is where the major chunk of your experience lies in. And I think you are adding a lot of value to people where they are struggling in the major chunk of their entire experience in career, right? So I really want to thank you today for joining this podcast. And anyone who wants to reach out to Shankar, I will post his LinkedIn details in the video description and anywhere is possible. This podcast will be available on Apple Podcasts, so you will be able to listen to this podcast whenever you want to listen and understand how you can build your stronger career. And I think the whole podcast is about building an invincible mindset. So my recommendation would be that overcome all your limiting beliefs and think about how you can take that next step without even thinking about what is going to happen, right? So communication, go ahead and speak up. Goals, make that particular rule in terms of how Shankar sir has said, block your time, do your activity in the most active time you have, right? Follow the Pomodoro, what do you call, sir? What was it?
Yeah, it's a Pomodoro tech. It's an
Yeah.
Italian word.
Correct. Follow that Pomodoro rule because which is 25-5, I guess, or maybe I don't remember that.
That's right.
It's 25-5, right? So similar rule. Follow that, start implementing this. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Shankar sir and he will be more than happy to help you. Again, Shankar sir, thank you very much for joining today. And it was lovely talking to you. You have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I wish you even more power to you and your tribe.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Take care.